And we're just shuffling about. Here we are live.
Welcome to In Your City Show here, the hottest happy hour in STL right here at KLS 590. And of course, luinfo.com, streaming 24/7 on demand at your favorite sites. You can watch us any time of the day, Apple, Spotify, and enjoy all we have to offer. So, of course, you can get your favorite mocktail, your cocktail, join in and have some fun with us. We got some great guests that are coming on today in the first hour here from 4 to 5 when we'll be here. We've got Jason Quillman. He'll be in the studio with us along with Tracy Bono. We'll let you know all about these great guests and what they have to offer to the show today. Of course, our question of the day is, fitting for last night, the fun that we had. We hadn't been to the movies. Like, for you that are listening and watching, are you moviegoers? Do you love to go to the movies? It's used to go all the time to the movies. It was like a weekend thing, or even during the week, couldn't wait to get out and see a premiere of a movie. And I kind of feel like the movies, a lot of remakes of the same thing, or almost fell asleep in Star Wars. So Star Wars level lovers will want to smack me in the face for saying if I could barely keep my eyes open during that one. We kind of quit going because it's like you wait that amount of time and then you can watch it at home and be comfortable, and the screens are, of course, not as big as the theater, but the movie screens at home are pretty big now to be able to get into your comfy chair and, be able to enjoy whatever you want to eat and drink that doesn't cost $100. But
I know it was $50 for seniors, mind you. We were seniors.
Thanks for no. Maybe you are.
Oh, you are.
I'm not admitting it yet. I would rather.
You know what? If it can save me money, I'll admit it. I don't care.
No, I'll pay full price. I'm in for full price, so I'm good for it.
It's worth the extra $2. Right?
It is so worth it to not say I'm a senior. So, but we went to the movies last night, and we went to see the new F1 with Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
that guy is phenomenal. He is 61 years old. He is so in shape. Now, I'm sure there's some filters, which I wish you would really get some better filters on our cameras so I can look 20 years younger. But he looked, there were no love handles on him. He was slim and trim and got all his hair. And a lot of times, especially men, sadly. So, and it may be if they drink a lot, or I don't know, but a lot of older men, their noses get bigger, ears get bigger. Things are growing in places that it shouldn't. That guy, now granted, he's probably got a lot of money to do whatever he wants to do, but he looked great in the movie.
Yeah. You know what's crazy though? Anyway. He looked great for his age, but as soon as he put the helmet on and you could see nothing but his eyes, then he looked older for some reason.
The helmet squishes the face together. I was super excited to find out that, when they made this movie F1, they were literally filming at several of the F1 Formula One races, which is cool because we were in Vegas when they set up for the Formula One there. So to know that they were filming, I wish that we would have been able to know that, maybe be able to see some of that, taking place, the filming of the movie.
I was seeing how old he is. He's how tall he is. He's 5'11".
Oh, you know what? I didn't think he was that tall. I thought he was actually shorter than that.
Because I'm thinking, those cars are not very big, and you got to fit in that little seat. And
several of those racers are pretty tall.
Yeah.
They're not short little guys. I'm sure it kind of, you go deep down in it, but I actually thought Brad Pitt I thought he was short like Stallone or whatever. Because Stallone is pretty, that's not short.
No.
And that's 5'11". He might have been taller when he was younger.
First movie I've shrunk to 5'11". I was 6 foot.
I know, isn't that crazy? The movie that I first saw Brad Pitt in was Thelma and Louise. He was the hot guy that made out with Thelma. Was it Thelma? Which one?
I don't know which one's which.
I know. The one who didn't drive, the one who wasn't driving, the older one, I guess more, it wasn't her, but that was his big debut that I know of. And he's a great actor. He really is a great actor. But the movie, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I did too. And it was directed by the same guy that directed Top Gun Maverick. And so it's going to give
Joseph Kosinski.
It's going to give you that Top Gun type feel.
Oh yeah,
with the filming and the camera angles, and it was great.
Javier, how do you say his last name? Bardem. He was great.
Yeah,
he played a great. I actually haven't seen him in a movie in a while.
No.
And he was everybody was perfectly, I think their roles were perfect for them. And then what Josh Pierce was the one who was his teammate. But there are a lot of like good moments in the movie, and especially when you place an older guy who's making a comeback and a younger guy who thinks he's all that and lives in a world of nothing but social media. When can be the next post? What can make you, you're always on camera all the time. Whereas in Brad Pitt's world, Sonny Hayes is his actor name, that wasn't what he was about at all. But I don't want to give spoiler alerts and say, too much about it.
Yeah, I was trying to see some of the last movies that he was in, and I didn't know he was in Skyfall.
Who?
Javier.
Oh, okay.
Pirates of the Caribbean was
I remember him in
2017.
that.
2023, The Little Mermaid.
Was he a voice, I guess, in it?
Yes, the new one. The
obviously
new
that
one
was
that was just done.
Cartoon or whatever you call it.
Dune
animated.
Part 2, 2024 was probably the latest one that he's been in.
I can't really remember that movie. I know Dune, but I can't really see him or remember the movie. But did you want to show a clip of the movie?
Yeah,
So of course,
we
if
can do
you're
that
watching
real
on
quick.
luinfo.com, you can take a sneak peek at the movie if you haven't watched one of the trailers for it. It's really good. I wouldn't mind watching again.
So you like straight talk?
Straight and narrow, no sugar.
Why are you here, Sonny? When you look in the mirror, you see this rough and tumble, old school cowboy. Doesn't take orders, goes his own way, huh? A lone wolf. Well, I've news for you. Formula One is a team sport. It always was. Listen, let's get this straight. We all lose our jobs if you can't pull off a miracle.
No pressure.
None.
The only question here is, why did Sonny Hayes come back to F1?
I think it's really wonderful that Apex are giving second chances to the elderly.
It's all right. You're just worried I'm quicker than you.
You're making a mistake, thinking that I'm just going to be some grateful kid who'll bend the knee to an old timer.
I never should have pulled you into this.
Down the inside, contact!
That's the other driver. You say he was old, he not that old.
So there you go. He
like the
said he was
mom
old. He's not that old. He's quite handsome.
But he is quite old compared, to the
Yeah.
other guy. But it really was. It's if I can highly recommend, if you haven't been to the movies in a while and you're looking at an opportunity that you want to go to the movie, this would be the movie to see, definitely on the big screen.
Yes, absolutely.
It's wonderful. All right, so
And it's got one more thing too is
Yeah.
they filmed a lot of this stuff live during real races, Formula One races, but you'll see Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and Lando Norris, some of the real racers. You'll see those guys in the movie.
And I almost spoiled it saying something, so I'm not going to say it because it is funny that the other racers are talking about, they're having to take a back seat to these actors. Okay, I'll lose for them, right? Well, before we do get ready to meet our first guest, there are some events that are actually happening tomorrow. So we should probably mention, plus you have some restaurants that have reopened after the tornado to miss, and even a few extra ones. So there's the Day Fresh Tour. It's at Anheuser-Busch Brewery there, and that starts actually tomorrow on July 1st, which I cannot believe that tomorrow is going to be July 1st. You got beer tasting at $15, and then the free First Tuesday at Butterfly House in Foss Park. Great for families. And then the storytelling exhibits, that's at the Missouri History Museum and World Chess Hall of Fame. That's free all day, and that's tomorrow. So what restaurants are reopened, Gordon, after the tornado?
After the Esca, Nixta, and Florentine, they are all back and open.
That's
So
good news.
those of you that maybe have not realized that they were ones that were affected by the tornado, but they're back open as of June, the middle of June, right there as well. And then there's some other places that opened in June, some new restaurants that I didn't know about. Grace Chicken and Fish in Crestwood, The Moniker, downtown St. Louis. Stacked STL is a gourmet burger chain, which we love burgers. me and
Yeah.
you. It's on North Euclid Avenue in the Central West End, and it was opening in this past week. So
So those
There
are
you
some
go.
new ones?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, we're going to bring it back. We are going to get our guest in the room, Jason Quillman, owner of Window Depot STL, and he joins us to talk about quality windows and more, and being a business owner here in the St. Louis area. So if we could do like a round of applause right now, like what was the name of the band that played there?
we saw a band in Newtown this weekend called the Spasmatics, and they look like Revenge of the Nerds. One's got a neck brace, one's got a helmet. They're wearing like tube socks from like
Short shorts, real short
the
shorts.
70s and short shorts. And
Fantastic entertainers and great sound.
yeah, they sounded amazing.
I mean, when he started playing Purple Rain, right? Was that? I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, is that Prince up there?
They are a 4-piece band with a little bit of enhancements.
Yeah, maybe a little
sound-wise,
bit,
but
but
yes,
hey, it was
sounded
great. It was a lot of fun. All right, we'll be right back with more here on the In Your City show, and of course on lootinfo.com or on the radio if you're listening to us on the new KLIS 590 AM. We'll be right back. Excellent. We are back here at In Your City Show on the LouInfo.com station and also on the KLIS 590, the Lou Information Station. We're back with our first guest today here, and a St. Louis native, been here for forever.
49 years. So.
That's fantastic, with a St. Louis business. And I mean, there's what better business than windows, something that you look in and look out of and makes such a difference in a home. Our friends just got new windows, and wow, what a difference. Tammy and John's house,
Yeah,
it makes such a huge difference on their home, getting the windows. Plus, even for, cost and saving money, especially with the summer months and everything coming up like that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with that heat wave we just had and everything else. We're getting 100-degree temperatures, people, HVAC systems dying with the right windows in the home that can help prolong the life of the HVAC system, because it doesn't have to run as hard, because you're not less heat loss or cool AC loss or whatever.
So Jason Quillman, owner of Window Depot USA of St. Louis.
Yes.
And this has been your company from the start. How long
So
have you been?
I started the business back in 2011, and we started off as believe it or not, a gutter guard company, because I worked for a large home improvement company here in St. Louis for several years.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I took over the sales management position. When I left, I had a non-compete. So, and they did siding and windows and things as well. One thing they really didn't focus on was gutter guards. So that was one of the ways I started the business, and it was Leaf Solutions of St. Louis. We've evolved quite a bit. And then when I was going out looking at people's homeowners' gutter guard systems, and they wanted me to put gutter guards on, I was climbing on doing an inspection, and I'm noticing their roof is worn out. And I'm like, well, you might want to get your roof replaced before I put this system on, because if you get the roof replaced after, you're going to have to pay me to come back, take the system off, and come back and put it back on when you get the new roof put on, or risk the roofing contractor messing up your gutter guards. So I kept sending them away to other people to buy a roof, and eventually the company I worked for before didn't have a non-compete with roofs. So I said, well, why am I not selling roofs? So this is
why am I not taking care of everything?
It's true. Well, this is about 6 months after I started the company.
Effect, isn't it?
I'd already, yeah. And the funny thing was I had already, bought a bunch of branding and, marketing pieces, tents for shows, had a wrapped vehicle, everything with Leaf Solutions of St. Louis. And 6 months later, decided, well, Leaf Solutions of St. Louis doesn't say that we do roofs as well. So we changed the name to Exterior Pro and had to rebrand, rewrap the vehicles and everything just 6 months later. And then, so that kind of blew up. And then once my non-compete was up, I got into the siding and windows as well. And I always thought, I worked for a short period of time between work for the other company. I worked for a window company, large corporation. I was a corporate employee. And I always thought that if I could get into the window business and get a niche or an exclusive on a particular product, I would take that and run. And I found that with Window Depot in 2017.
So can you fix one window? We have a window that's cracked.
Yeah, somebody.
Gordon thought he would put the heater, like he put on the porch to, stay warm. He didn't.
I got
quite
a little
pull
too
it.
close to.
A little too close, and all of a sudden we're sitting there seeing
That
our
window just
melting and pop. Yeah. So we have a window we need to call about.
Absolutely. We can do full replacement on that window, but I do tell my customer, we're very honest when it comes to that. If somebody calls in and says they just have one window and they're not looking for the house and the frame's in good shape, they can have just the glass replaced. If you call it a glass and glazing company without going through the whole expense and then getting a window that may not match the others. But it depends on the age of the window. It may be worth replacing the entire unit as well. Just, it's kind of circumstantial.
Yeah. So you've been doing this since 2017 with Window Depot. So when you said you were working for another company, is that like, because I know when you sit there and you're working for a company and you're thinking, I could do this better, and I could do this better, and I could do this better. So what makes you different, and what makes you, now that you've kind of worked for somebody else and now you're working for yourself in this window company, what makes you think I'm going to do something different? What are those
The
things?
company that I worked for, the people were amazing. They were great people. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in right now. I wouldn't own my own business. Learned a lot of good lessons from them, and I'm very grateful to have that opportunity with them. And I didn't necessarily leave them because I thought I could do it necessarily better. As I moved up, without disclosing too much information, I left them to go to work for the window company I was telling you about. And I don't like naming names.
Right.
But then the owner of the previous company asked me to go meet him for lunch. And when I met him for lunch, he wanted me to come back. And when I worked for them, I was a sales rep, and he wanted me to come back as a sales manager. So obviously, we negotiated a compensation package, which was highly driven on performance. And after about a year and a half, I kept hitting all the performance numbers. Some things maybe on the production side of things weren't going as smoothly. And the company just, the cash flow wasn't there. They weren't generating enough revenue, and my bonuses were getting negotiated. And I said, well, I'm working twice as hard. Now I've got responsibility for 6, 7 other people and a team, and I'm making less money than I was when I was just selling. And that didn't make sense. So I went to the owner and said, I'd like to just go back to being a sales rep if that's the way it's going to be. And he's like, oh no, I really need you. I really need you in this position. We'll get things turned around, whatever. And I went on vacation, and I was sitting on the beach in Playa del Carmen. And
A good place to be.
I'm just sitting out there thinking,
Brains going.
yeah, brains going a million miles a minute. And the light bulb went off in my head. And it's like, if I'm going to work this hard, put in this many hours, work weekends and everything else, why am I not doing this for myself?
Yeah, which is a scary thing, isn't it? I mean, to think about going off on your own and opening your own business, but it's so worth it. But yet, what do you say to someone out there that's maybe going through what you are, and they're like, why am I not working for myself? A lot of people went into business for themselves 2020. It's like COVID hit, and everybody's like, I'm not working for anybody again. I got this time off. I'm going to do my own thing.
Well, work became abundant when we didn't know that at the beginning. We were all terrified, but ended up being.
Everybody was at home going,
oh, yeah.
Great for the home services.
My house looks like crap.
For home, exactly. Now everybody's spending so much time at home, they're realizing these things, and they have to stay there, so they're going to put money into the house. And quite frankly, I lost quite a few employees during that time for the same thing. They decided to go off and start their own businesses. Yeah. But for me, it wasn't that scary. And if you read my DISC profile, personality profile, that I'm very much a risk taker. I was actually, while I worked for the other companies, I was also a professional motorcycle racer, road racing, like the guys that drag their knee on the ground. So not a lot scares me, but it was when I kind of retired from that I was like, now I've got the time to start my own business too. I've always been kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit where, like, selling bubble gum in high school or anything, cutting lawns, shoveling driveways.
It's in you, isn't it?
Yeah. Anything I could do to make money, even as a little kid, I'd always try to find ways to make money. So.
Right.
Well, you heard us talk about Formula One. You got to go see F1. Since you're a motorcycle racer, you got to go see that if you haven't seen it already.
Oh yeah, no, I love Formula One. I usually go, and obviously they run at Circuit of the Americas. I go to that for the MotoGP race, which is basically the 2-wheel Formula One. So
okay, so we'll go ahead and ask the question of the day then, since you're talking about racing. So of course yours is probably motorcycles, but if you were able to be a race car driver for the day, which race would you be in? Would it be the Formula One, the Indy
cars, or would it be
Demolition
NASCAR,
Derby, or
Derby.
NASCAR? He says, quit saying NAS. It's NAS.
I call it NASCAR.
NASCAR. So it wouldn't be that car.
It'd definitely be the Formula One.
It'd be the Formula One
machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just crazy, isn't it? I mean, for you talking about being risky and fearless, I mean, you're on a motorcycle, which is terrifying. How fast are you going on a motorcycle?
It depends on the motorcycle, the track that's in that. For example, like Daytona on a 600, you're getting about 175, 180 miles an hour. On the 1000, you're tipping 200. So
wow. Without anything around you.
No, actually the wall when you're going around the tri-oval is about that far from your handlebar.
Wow. And you enjoy that.
Yeah, fun.
Are you still riding fast now?
No, they won't let me anymore.
They won't let you anymore. Sure, do I.
Well, no, I'm just that. I'm probably not as limber. I'm a little bit more brittle these days at 49 years old than I was.
Do you have a little fear now? Like I rode horses as a kid, and I would get on with no bridle, run up the pasture, go around barrels, nothing, no fear. I have fear now. Like I don't like to go fast in anything.
No, I still love to go fast, and we have a couple jet skis and stuff that when I get out on the lake, it's full throttle. I'm addicted to speed.
I
want to go racing. I flirt with the idea of buying another bike, and I tell my sister's part of the business, and she's actually coming in, and she's going to be half owner here soon.
Oh, that's great.
She's helped us out a lot. She's taken the operations side and just made a massive change in it. But every time I mention buying a motorcycle, I'm just going to go to the track station. No, it's not. We'll lead the racing.
It's
She's
not
like,
happening.
no, you're not doing it. She's like, we need you here. I'm like,
Speaking of, so your sister, how many siblings are in your family?
I have two sisters, two older sisters, 8 and 6 years older. Yeah.
How nice to have, one of your sisters working with you and to be able to have that trust factor and
It's
somebody that has
awesome.
the same mindset that you do of
Yeah.
taking care of your company.
It's really scary. Her and I have always been close. I always say I have 3 moms because they're 6 and 8 years older than me. But Angie, she's the middle sister. She's the one that's 6 years older than me. And she was around. My oldest sister was kind of off to college as I was maturing. Angie's always been around and been like that second mother. And I never knew how much we thought alike until she came to work for me. Like, I'll come to her and tell her, we need to do this shit. Oh my God, I was just thinking about that. And it's amazing how in sync we are. And that's what you need on your
Yeah.
team, because as an entrepreneur, and I'm a visionary, and I'm very good at seeing the direction I want to take the company and the next steps, and bringing in new software to help us out and things like that, and AI. But I'm terrible at implementation. And
She's the one who'll take
she's
care of
what
that,
we
make that
call the
happen.
integrator, where I can, task her with something and she makes it happen like this would normally take me forever. So she joined me about 1.5 years ago, and we've doubled in business, and we're going to double again this year. And I attribute the majority of that to having her on the team. So
Well, speaking of AI in the future, what is your window into the future? Where do you see this business going in 5 years?
5 years, we've got some pretty big plans. By the end of 2028, we want to be at in terms of revenue, about a $10 million company. And then I have a sales rep that's been with me for a long time, and actually we've been friends since kindergarten.
Oh, gosh.
And we're thinking about expansion into other markets. He's moving to Montana, so we're looking at a good market there to open up that he can run. And St. Louis is going to be the hub for like all the marketing, call center, everything. So basically, he'll have to start. At first, I don't think we'll get a showroom right away. It'll be the goal to get him a showroom open, but he'll have to run a sales and production team up there. And then I have aspirations to getting somewhere south, so I have a good reason to take off down to Florida and play some golf or something.
Is there any type
Speaking
of
of
new
golf, golf balls going through the window all the time.
is there any type of new technology for Windows or anything coming?
In terms of technology, I think we're pretty much on the cutting edge of it right now. I don't know how much you know about us, but we specialize, our niche in the market. And the one thing that I liked about Window Depot is it's not a franchise. It's more of a buying conglomerate, and we're in over about 90 markets now across the United States. And I stumbled across it. I was actually researching a finance option to offer my customers, and I found this program, this company, and Window Depot's logo was on there as a company that used their financing. And I'm like, who's this entrepreneur? Down the rabbit hole. Like, who's this Window Depot? So I start researching them. Like, wow, I've never heard of these people. It seemed to be pretty big or whatever. Says they have open territories. So I contacted them and started talking to Ed Kelleher, the president. And what I found with that is their niche is bringing a ultra super high energy efficient window to the market at a competitive price. And as I learned more, it took about 1.5 months or so, I was signing the territory agreement with them, because it really does, it allows us to bring a triple pane high-end window, which most window companies, the majority of them out there right now, they're offering a double pane with argon gas and low E coatings in them, which is it's an efficient window. But when you move to a triple pane, it's much more efficient. And the only reason why companies don't sell triple pane is they don't have a manufacturer. A lot of times we'll hear from our customers that, oh, the last guy said that, the advantages of triple pane aren't worth the extra expense. And the only reason why anybody would say that
Because they don't carry it.
well, they can't provide it for you,
Yeah.
or they don't want to show their price. And that's the beauty. And what I found, I'm like, wow, we could really make this something, because we go into the house and we're very competitive. If you're talking about a legitimate company and not what I call, Pete in his pickup truck, where it's just one guy and maybe a couple guys in a crew that they're selling it out of their home or whatever, and they're actually running a real business. We're very competitive, and sometimes less. Our cost is less than these other companies selling a double pane.
Well, before we run out of time, we want to make sure, are there any specials right now that you're offering? If someone wants to get a hold of you and make sure to come out and get a consultation or a bid.
Absolutely. So right now we are running a special, which is $100 off each window purchased, $250 off per door. But I think one of the biggest things that we're offering right now, most attractive, is we've got some really good finance offers that we just rolled out to offer our customers. and one of them is 0% for 60 months. So 0% interest for 5 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, and then we've got another one for somebody that's just looking for the lower payment. We've got 2.99% APR, which is obviously super low if you see the interest rates on your homes and mortgage rates, things like that. And that goes for 7 years, and we even have some longer term programs out there. We've got about 5 of them, but the two ones that seem to be selected the most are 0% for 60 and the 2.99 for 7 years.
Well, having great windows in your home.
So how do they
definitely
get a hold of
makes
you
a
and
difference.
get in touch with you?
Best way is to call our phone number, call the office, 636-939-4800, anywhere in between about 7:30 a.m. and 4 p.m. Or they can always go to our website, and we've got a form they can fill out and immediately book an appointment. Actually,
Awesome.
we have, as
We'll
part of
be
the
doing
AI
that.
part of the AI we've implemented actually knows our calendar, sees my sales rep's schedule, and can sit there and kind of communicate through text
Crazy.
with the customers and schedule about any time of the day. So
That's amazing. Well, Jason Quillman, owner at Window Depot, St. Louis, thank you for coming in, talking
Thanks
about
for having me.
windows. We'll definitely be calling ourselves. And we appreciate you so much being a part of City Lifestyle magazines too. So we look forward to hearing
Well,
about
thank
you
you,
being in
guys. Appreciate
Montana
it.
and all your growth
Yeah.
that's going on. So
We're
you are
excited.
listening to In Your City Show at luinfo.com, and of course the new Lou information station also on the dial of 590 AM. We're going to be back with our next guest and talk about scouts. From windows
Wow.
to scouts.
I was a scout.
You were cute in your little outfit. We'll be right back. Welcome back to In Your City Show right here on the LouInfo.com. We had a little change of scenery. We went from Jason to Tracy Bono, and she is with Greater Scouts of St. Louis. I didn't look at the title. Did I say it right? Greater St. Louis Area Scouting. That's all. We're Scouts is what we want to talk about right now. So it was so fun meeting you. And then actually Tracy just wrote a great article in our new issues that are out right now. Rain garden. So when it comes to outdoors and fun things like that, you have got the skinny on it all. And Gordon's like, oh, I was a scout.
I was.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I think I got to Weeblos. And after
What's a weeblo?
well, we'll let Tracy tell you what a Weeblo is.
Is that such a thing still?
It is such a thing.
Oh my gosh. So of course I was trying to get to your
I can't believe I even remembered that.
Yeah, I can't
You
either.
go from the yellow scarf to this, it's still like the plaid or
You know what? Washington University here in St. Louis did a wonderful study on the effects that scouting does on people. Only 2 years, just 2 years of scouting experience can completely change the trajectory of an individual's life. So I'm going to take full credit for the fact that you are successful and
You're a weeblo.
scouting.
Yes.
Your scouting experience.
You are right. I mean, I wasn't a scout. I mean, I don't know what you consider. I was a brownie.
Girl Scouts.
Daisy Brownie, Go Girl Scouts. Is now Scouts is one, or do we still say Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, or is it just Scouts now?
That is such a really good question.
Is it?
So
I'm so
glad that you
confused.
asked that. It is confusing. There is a separate Girl Scouts organization
Okay.
still.
I'm glad.
So we are what was formerly called the Boy Scouts of America. We just say Scouts now because we have boys and girls in our programs. People don't always realize we started having girls in our programs in the 1970s. So now we have girls and boys in every single program at all levels of our programs. So we just say scouting.
That's fine with me as long as we can, because I was a brownie and I loved my little brown dress and I loved going to the meeting and we made that pillow. I can still remember making the, do they still make those? Where you sew the pillow, then that's what you sit on when you go. And then the snacks, of course, I didn't miss a snack at the brownie meeting. And then we walked over the bridge.
I was going to ask you today, was it called the Rainbow Bridge or something?
So yeah, Girl Scouts is a wonderful program. We have girls in our programs that still do Girl Scouts. We're different. We're a completely different organization and different programs. I too was a Girl Scout, so I do have much love and appreciation for Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
But our scouting programs are different. In our I am with the Greater St. Louis Area Council of Scouting. We have many councils in the United States. We're one of the largest councils in the United States. Yeah,
that's wonderful. I mean, it really does. It has such a rich legacy. I mean, is there really anybody that doesn't know about the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the scouting? I mean,
everywhere I go, and just like what you just said, you said I was a scout. Everywhere I go, any room I walk into, especially any room full of leaders, if I say raise your hand if you had scouting experience, those hands go up and then the stories come forth. It's my favorite part of the job.
My grandmother was a scout leader. I can remember my brother was probably not one of the, there was someone who's going to get in trouble would be my brother. He would come with her and steal the hot dogs and just do all kinds of things.
I wish I would have thought about grabbing, I have some old black and whites, being a boy is a Cub Scout. And it was so cool because, well, we lived close to, I grew up in O'Fallon, Illinois, and we lived close to Scott Air Force Base. So we lived behind us was St. Ellen Mine, and there was a big cornfield behind us. So one of our scouting things, one of the guys that was in the military, in the Air Force, he actually landed a Huey helicopter in our backyard in the field for all the scouts to go in and look at and check it out. It was really cool. I'll never forget that.
And do you earn the patches? So let's talk about some of the most impactful stories and the personal transformations. Let's talk about what scouting is and truly what it does for individuals and the age limit, because I stopped very young, unfortunately. But I mean, it can go on for quite some time to be in the scouting.
Sure. So starting in kindergarten, an individual can get involved in scouts. Now it does age out at age 18. However,
that's a long time.
What we find is a lot of folks love scouting so much that they stay on. they become volunteers, they become leaders, they become merit badge counselors. There's lots of different ways that adults stay involved in scouting. In fact, I have so many that tell me, I wish I could have done scouting. And now my kids are doing it, so I get to do it finally.
Oh,
They're my
that's
children.
wonderful. So that's the age limit. And then what are some of the, like you were talking about when you're at a meeting and the leaders, scouting, is it still as strong as it once was? And what are we doing to make sure that kids in school know about this? I don't remember there being a cost to be a scout, was there? I don't.
So that you're
I
asking.
mean, I was a
the right
child,
questions.
so my mom
Yes.
would have taken care of it. I
Right.
don't really remember.
You were asking all the right questions. So there to answer all of those.
Sorry, so many.
No,
Such little
that's-
time.
no, that's great. So we try to
Scrolling
get
at
the
you.
word out. We try to get the word out. We go to schools, we go to churches, we go to community organizations, and we say, hey, join scouting. Here are all the great fun things you can do. You can go to camp. You can do all of these fun things. Watch somebody land a helicopter in your backyard, apparently. There are some fantastic things. And then the youth will say, yes, we want to get involved. And you brought up a really good point. Usually it is the parents, right? Who say, okay, we will help you get a uniform and take you to your meetings and volunteer to be leaders. Many times that does not happen. We go out into some rural areas or some areas in the city where they just don't have the resources that other people have. We do not want to say no to any youth who wants to be in scouting. My personal opinion is those are probably the youth that need scouting the most. So we set up scholarships, we set up financial assistance. We have great community partnerships to make that happen so that we can say yes to any youth who wants to be in a scouting program.
Oh, that's great to know, because it is a valuable tool. And it's amazing to hear you say that most of the people that you find when you ask if, they've been a scout, they're a leader in some sort in their
100%.
job or something that they're doing. What do you think
Absolutely.
does that? What is scouts that teaches that child, that youth to be a leader?
We have a proven success record on creating leaders. I think what's unique about our programs, especially in this day and age, is we really empower the child. The child is youth led. They are in charge. They are in charge of what they do, picking how they do it. They're in charge of completing their tasks, earning their merit badges. We often say, and you'll hear us say this, we create a safe place to fail. That's an unusual thing today in today's society. We encourage our youth to try things, and we say, if you don't succeed, it's okay. You tried, you learned about yourself, and this is where your friends, your fellow scouts can help step in, and we can help you to the next step. It's creating this mindfulness of empowered executive functioning skills that oftentimes are missed today in this inside, singularly watching your tablet kind of world we've created for our youth. We set them outside on an independent task where they have to build something with their peers. That creates a leader. That's creating the leaders of tomorrow. Self-starters, empowered, using their brain, working with others, being outside. It's sad to say that is not something we see a lot today.
Even in our own school systems.
100%.
You don't even see that in our own school systems. We don't teach kids how to be leaders. We don't even teach them how to. Well, we don't even have, most people don't have checkbooks anymore, but I mean, we don't know how to, they don't know how to do anything,
Right.
and even what do we, have
If
we
you
even,
made it past Weeblo, you made a tie a rope better. Maybe.
yeah, even getting rid of, cursive writing and stuff like that. It's just crazy
So
stuff.
the Children in Nature Network is a beautiful organization, and they do a lot of independent scientific studies. I love reading what they're invested in, what they're doing. They did a study one time, and I can't stop thinking about it. They had a youth that was labeled a troublemaker in school. And when you said in schools, that's what made me think of it. This youth, he was labeled a troublemaker in school. They put him in a nature-based learning program.
Through Scouts?
No, it was a nature-based learning program. But that's what we do in Scouts.
Okay.
That's exactly what we do.
Nature-based.
Many of our things, great majority of our things are nature-based, not all.
Right.
They put him in nature-based learning. He became a positive leader amongst his peers. So the child that was labeled the troublemaker in school, possibly down that route of always staying a troublemaker, not doing well in life probably, put in nature-based learning. Not only did he succeed, he became a leader of amongst his peers. So just like what you just said, what are we doing to the youth of today? And I firmly believe it's one of the main reasons I work for Scouts is we are creating these positive leaders. We are doing our society a favor, creating these positive minded leaders of tomorrow, helping the children, but also helping our community as a
Getting
whole.
kids outside. It's so important to get them outside and the team, being in a team, learning how to be with other kids and working
Oh, yeah.
together. Because usually there's strategies and group projects that you're doing when you're out there. I know because we're doing a story, of course, in our August Kids and Pets issue. Actually, Tracy has written a story for scouting and all the pictures, the riding horses and out in the canoes and camping and building fires and just all of those things that kids need and should do that aren't being done if you're not really in some type of a group like this. Kids are indoor playing the PlayStations. Is that what it's even called anymore? I think they
say
keep changing,
kids
don't
on
they?
average spend about 7 hours on their electronic devices a day.
Could you imagine, let's say we lost all our power grids and we lost, all of our electricity and we had to live on nature. How many people do you think would survive?
I'd be finding a
probably.
scout. I'd be finding myself a scout.
But I'm
right away.
serious. But that's if you can learn to be a scout and learn to survive out in nature, you can survive through anything. Honestly, you could. That's why I think they're so successful because everything else becomes easy. Oh, I can now I have electronics. Now I have this, but I can survive. The other ways.
Sustainable living.
Solving skills. You
Yeah.
want a scout as an employee. They're going to come with creative problem solving skills. They can work in teams. They can work independently. They're not afraid to try.
That'd be a good question for an employer to ask. Were you ever a scout?
It happens often. We
Yeah.
have so many, especially our Eagle Scouts, that say, I got the interview because I'm an Eagle Scout.
Really?
Absolutely.
How many of the kids that are in Scouts continue on? What is usually the rate of when they start and they end? How many stay within the program for years?
Man, you hit on a subject there. We are competing with select sports and dance and as anyone knows, I'm a mom. I know what it's like when your kids are coming at you with, I want to go here and I want to go here and I want to do this. At some point you say, okay, well, what is it that you want to do?
Yeah.
And let's
I'm gonna pick.
Right? Don't we all do that as parents and say, pick what you want? So oftentimes individuals drop out of scouting because maybe sports is their thing, or we have those high achievers that say, no, I want to do scout and football. I want to do scouts and this. So we do lose numbers all the way up into Eagle Scout, but we have those youth that stay with it. And they take it all the way to Eagle Scout, join a high adventuring crew when they're in their teen years and go sail ships and climb mountains and do these extraordinary things and get opportunities and doors open to them that aren't open to others.
And are they still earning the badges and throughout their as they move up the ladder?
Speaking of, I was going to talk to you about being a merit badge counselor for. We'll talk about that later. I'll get you up for that.
Are they
later.
still making? I remember I made my mom not a pot holder, but a hot pad made out of little square tiles and stuff on wood. That's one of my
She
scout
probably
things
still
that I
has
had
it.
to do. Yeah, I think she does. Yeah.
Of course she does,
Yeah.
on the counter. So with that, earning the badges and then that took you to another level. Are there parents are you looking for parents that want to be youth leaders or scout leaders, or do you have to be a scout to be a scout leader?
Absolutely not. We are looking for volunteers in all aspects and levels of our organization. We are heavily reliant on our community volunteers. We would not exist. And from parents who lead scout units to businesses who sponsor merit badge workshops to organizations who provide support for our Eagles. We have all kinds of, let me talk to someone, I will talk to them and I will say, I will figure out what way they could get involved in scouting. And it becomes mutually beneficial.
That's great. I know that volunteers are probably the most important part of any organization or charity. I don't know how we would survive without the wonderful support of those that give their time. And giving your time to children, to youth, is invaluable. I mean, it's just Absolutely.
So incredible to be able to do that for the kids. So they need to be able, if they don't need help, which you would be able to do, there's a uniform that they would need to be able to purchase. And then is there a fee to be a scout?
So
And then does that include so many visits or camp out or things like that?
yeah, what our council does, our council doesn't charge fees for our council. We just have the national fees.
Okay.
There are some councils that do charge. We have national fees that you have to pay for. You know, I always say, I was a dance mom. My daughter was a competition dancer.
Oh my gosh.
I say one of her costumes
Yes.
was more than what it cost an entire year
Right.
to be a scout. It's incredibly reasonable. But that being said,
Be a hockey player, boy, right?
Oh,
That's
right.
really expensive.
yes, I do know. Yes. But that being said, to some people that might be too much. That small cost that we think is a small cost, to some might be too much. So we do have financial assistance. We have campership scholarships that they can apply for. And we hear testimony all the time. I was just reading testimony recently from a mother who said, my son got a campership scholarship. We wouldn't have been able to afford camp had he not received it, and it has been life-changing. She said, my son is talking to me. He's opened up. He's made friends. And she was just praising the program, that it completely changed her child.
I think every child should get to experience camp. Watching Kyland go, our grandson, I mean, he's went for second time. And it's just been such an experience for a child to be able to go off and experience that in a cabin or in a tent and with the other kids and all of the activities like that. I think you only can hope that every child has the opportunity to be able to experience something like that. So, or when it comes to if a child or a parent is interested in getting their child, what would they need to do?
I say start with our website.
Okay.
Go to STLBSA and look at our website. You can look up information. It's all there, you know, in this day and age. After we were just talking about electronics, there's a place for electronics.
Right.
You can go on, you can
You're
apply.
electronic.
Yeah. You can apply, you can call the council. So we're divided into districts. So there's territorial districts within our council. You would find out what area you're in, and they put you in touch with a person to help get you started.
And I think the thing to know is that it really makes the difference in a child. And just as you said in the beginning, most of the people that you've met along the way who are a leader in something they do actually had the opportunity to be a scout. I know, and sadly, wow, this time went by so fast. So Tracy Bono, thank you so much for coming here, enlightening us about Scouting of America, greater St. Louis area. We really appreciate your time, and we'll be looking at sharing more of it in our next issues. And we appreciate all you do to get the word out, because I think every child should have a chance to be a Brownie or a Weeblo or a Boy Scout. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Thanks for tuning in to In Your City show right here at LouInfo.com and on the great radio of 590 AM, the new KLIS at the new Lou Information Station. Until next time, we want to say cheers.